Scrolling through your social media feed, have you ever stopped and wondered, wait, is that even true? Chances are you've come across this information at least once. Today, we'll dive deeper into the consequences of fake news, focusing on how that impacts Latin American countries, where misinformation isn't just an online nuisance, but a force shaping politics, society, and even democracy itself. But first, let's define fake news. Fake news is designed to look and feel like real journalism. Same headlines, same logo, same urgency. The difference is it's intentionally false. News fraudsters imitate conventional media, supplanting its identity, creating websites with the appearance of reliable media, to such an extent that news are reproduced and quoted all over the world, making it difficult even to trace the initial issuer of the fake news. And nowadays, with AI, this scenario has become even worse. One important detail here is that, as Peter Dale Scott said, disinformation in order to be effective must be 90% true. And that's why this is so harmful. Now, to truly understand the impacts of disinformation in Latin America, let's take a look at public opinion formation throughout time. So traditionally, public opinion was formed through a combination of word of mouth and traditional media, such as newspapers, radio, television. So not everyone had access to information, but things are different now. Three global shifts have altered the rules of the game regarding public opinion formation. One, social media. So with the rise of social media, everyone started to have access to information. People who couldn't reach information now would have access to it anytime, anywhere. In the case of Honduras, for example, one of the poorest countries of the continent, more than 80% of the population gets their information from Facebook or WhatsApp. Number two is social media algorithms. So algorithm from social media filters only information to people with whom they previously agreed, causing them to reinforce their opinions without considering new ideas, producing what is called confirmation bias, leading people to, for example, form extreme opinions. And last but not least, we have the uncontrolled growth of fake news. News no longer originates exclusively from news outlets. Anyone can post something that becomes news. People often deliberately post fake news, and in the vast majority of the cases, news consumers believe almost everything they see or read on social media. Now, zooming in, you can see the impacts of disinformation everywhere in Latin America. In Brazil, 85% of people worry about distinguishing real from fake online, and the same study conducted by Avaz in the US, Italy, and Brazil revealed that Brazilians are the most inclined to believe fake news. Moreover, the study from Digital Iceberg reveals that 70% of Latin Americans do not know how to detect or are not sure how to recognize fake news on the internet. They also revealed that 79% of Peruvians struggle to identify fake news, 73% of Colombians, 70% of Chileans, and around 60% of Argentines, Mexicans, and Brazilians. Even worse, almost half of Latin Americans rarely question the content they consume. This is a glimpse of the magnitude of the problem that the individual faces with the information they access. There is an inability to differentiate truth from lies, especially in the case of an elaborate design of fake news and its discrimination through echo chambers that cause people to receive selective information, congruent with their own views, excluding other points of view, realities, hindering the formation of their critical thinking, straightening even more those beliefs, likes or dislikes that they have about someone. A tendency that psychologist Daniel Kahneman has called the halo effect, or exaggerated emotional coherence. It affects real politics. In Colombia, fake news shaped narratives around elections, anti-corruption votes, and even the peace agreement referendum. In Brazil, Jair Bolsonaro's campaign was fueled by massive misinformation networks. In just 3 WhatsApp groups, journalists found over 1,000 fake messages a day. And despite the initiative to disclose fake news, such messages spread so quickly that it is exceedingly difficult to combat the phenomenon adequately. These events are a clear example of two problems affecting Latin American democratic systems. One is a massive manipulation of people through disinformation and fake news, and on the other hand, we also have the enormous distrust towards Latin American rulers. The above are just some cases that demonstrate how fake news have played a vital role in certain scenarios. So, what happens when fake news takes over? 1. Political disengagement. People lose interest or faith in participating when the rules of the game feel rigged. 2. Loss of trust in institutions. As Professor Andrew Hall warns, when citizens believe democracy itself is broken, they stop accepting its outcomes. And last but not least, we have a weaker media literacy. Echo chambers limit exposure to diverse perspectives. While you trust of information that appears to you or just keep reading from the same source, you become an easy victim of political manipulation. Step by step, misinformation erodes the foundation of civic life. But at the end of the day, how can we fight back? How to deal with fake news in such a polarized scenario? 1. Fact check tools. Newspapers are already integrating this on their websites, and Latin American countries have been developing fact check mechanisms to improve misinformation identification. 2. Incentives for media literacy. Raising awareness about misinformation, fake news, and its consequences is essential to make people understand the urgency of the problem. And last but not least, get information from different sources. Never trust the first information source you were introduced to. Make sure to search for other accounts and newspapers you follow. Secondly, always double check information before sharing it. Fake news isn't just about misleading headlines, it's about reshaping societies, solving division, and undermining democracy. So the next time you scroll past a story that feels like a little too perfect, remember, you hold the choice to question, to verify. Because in the fight against misinformation, critical thinking might just be our strongest defense.